Hello, Mora. It is Friday, February 28th as we record this, and we are fresh off of the school board meeting from last night in which the Board of Education had officially approved the plan for Plan B if the referendum fails on May 12th. And so bear with us here because this information is still very fresh to us, and we are still trying to process it, but we wanted to give you what we knew as soon as we could. There are some things that we're going to talk about that are estimates, and that's more so like the tax impact because those numbers are still being crunched. But we have estimates that are going to be really quite close to what they're officially going to be. And so I'll let you know as we go through which ones those are. But before we get started, there are just a couple things of note that because the board had passed this resolution yesterday officially in a public meeting, I believe that the board is now legally obligated to follow through with Plan B if the referendum fails on May 12th. And again, the wording is very careful there, and we need to make sure that we put that in our minds that the wording of the resolution was that if the referendum fails, Plan B will be signed on May 13th. This is to make sure that we understand, as some people have already begun saying that the board is going to do Plan B if Plan A passes anyway. That is not true. Now, legally speaking, they cannot do that. Plan A needs to fail in order for Plan B to go through. And further, at the meeting last night, the board also authorized Superintendent Schultz to begin negotiations with various entities for both Plan A and Plan B so that they don't waste any time. And so these things are now in motion. The wheels are spinning, and we are off to the races as we march towards May 12th. And so let's begin going through this for just a few minutes. The first thing that I think would be helpful for us to do would be to revisit what is Plan A. And the Plan A is the referendum for a new school. It is a $61.9 million addition to the Trailview site, where the current Mora Elementary sits. It is a 20-year payoff. It is for grades 7 through 12, and the average house value of $125,000 would see approximately $325 per year increase in property tax. And so we say approximately there because the numbers need to be crunched, and all of this is still very, very fresh and very, very new. And so that information will be officially coming out, but that's pretty close. Now, when we look at Plan B, we're only going to be looking at an average value of $100,000. So we don't exactly have all those comparison numbers yet. But again, we want to get you what we can at this point. The state will cover a sizable portion of the bill. Again, remember back in November when the referendum was on the ballot on November 6th, the state had given us a guarantee to pay for 46% of the construction. The number won't be 46%. It'll actually probably be down just a little bit, but the state will cover a sizable portion of the bill. The tax impact, though, would be relatively the same as November, and that is specifically because the municipal bonds have lowered even more from November. And so that's exciting news. And the state will cover a sizable portion of the bill. So Plan B now. Plan B is structured to be in phases. Now, I have labeled on here, just for a visual, 4 phases. However, the board has made it clear that it is quite possible that it could be 4 to 6 phases. It could be 7 phases. We don't know yet. It all depends on how much gets done, how much stuff they find behind the walls, all the other things that need to go on as the building ages and as they make improvements. So Plan B, Phase 1, is this year in 2020. It will cover health and safety and security and infrastructure things. We'll talk about those here in just a little bit. Plan B would be Phase 2 in 2025. Plan B would be Phase 3 in 2030. Plan B, Phase 4, would be in 2035, and that continues going on. So we could look at Plan or phase 5 in 2040, plan 6 in 2045. And so we're really stretching this out in order to do what we can to improve our current building. So let's look at this. The number that they agreed on last night and that they approved was $12.9 million. Okay, we'll talk about that here in a little bit. $12.9 million. Obviously, phase 2, we don't know yet. The rate of interest for the municipal bonds may go up in 5 years, and also the cost of construction goes up. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But we are looking at right now in this phase for $12.9 million. So with that $12.9 million, here's what it looks like. The $12.9 million will be paid off in 5 years. The breakdown is $2.4 million, which would go towards changing the parking lot. We've had a lot of safety issues with the crosswalk there from the current parking lot to the high school. And so let me just show you a quick photo here. This is not official. Again, if this were written words, I would have you underline it. This is not official of what the plan would be. This is just an idea of what it could be. This is a screenshot from last night's board meeting. And you can see that they have put the parking lot to the east of the school there. So that would then change where the parking lot currently is. You can see a new student parking and parent drop-off, pick up area. Obviously, this creates some logistical issues because it takes away the practice field. It takes away valuable physical education space. But it is an idea. So the board, if Plan B happens, they're going to need to figure out what they're going to do with the parking lot. Again, and they're not even 100% set on the parking lot thing happening yet, but they did put it in the resolution that they passed last night. So again, just a prototype. Also, the $10.5 million in maintenance and air quality, that would go towards things like HVAC and air quality type things, mold and asbestos abatement and all that kind of stuff. So one thing that we do need to point out here before we move on is that both the $2.4 million parking lot and the $10.5 million maintenance and air quality don't come out of something called a general lease levy. There are no levies that are part of Plan B. There was a post that came out on Facebook from someone just yesterday saying that the board can't possibly take this much in taxes with a lease levy. Absolutely right. These are not lease levies. The $2.4 million parking lot would be what's called an abatement bond. And the $10.5 million comes out of something called the long-term facilities and maintenance and indoor air quality bonds. And so with those, that gives the board authority to go ahead and receive the money that they need to make our kids. I shouldn't even say make, to allow our kids. We shouldn't even have to say allow our kids to have good air quality. That they should have good air quality. So it allows the students to receive the air quality that they deserve. So that's the breakdown there. It is financed again over 5 years. Also, the tax impact may increase if there's more discovered while repairing. And what we're talking about there is once they tear into the walls, once they drill into the concrete, if they end up finding things that weren't expected, if they have to cut back concrete further and further in order to find where the pipes aren't as thin as they are. We'll have more information on that in future videos. Or if some of the issues with piping go back further, or asbestos removal is tougher than they expect, then that price will increase if more is discovered while repairing. So there's no state aid involved in this at all. So whereas with the referendum for the new build, there would be significant state aid, there's no state aid. 100% of this is on the backs of the taxpayers in the Mora district. Ag to school credit still does apply, although farmers and large landowners will probably be impacted most, and that's not because the egg to school thing. It's because there's no state aid involved in that. Again, the farmers and large landowners, that was not said by the board last night. That's on our part of saying that is probably what's going to happen. So I don't want people thinking that the board is saying that. That's vote yes saying, and we'll correct ourselves if we're wrong in that. I don't think we are, though. Okay, so let's do some of the math here. Again, at the last referendum, we did a lot of work towards teaching people that there is an increased cost of construction. The average right now is 4.2% per year. That could increase with inflation or other economic things that happen. So right now it's at 4.2%. At this current abatement and bonds that they are taking out, $12.9 million for this particular plan. If we were to add 4.2% as the years go by the next phase, if we were to do the same amount of bonds and abatement, we would be looking at $15.8 million for the same amount that we would take out now. Again, we're just doing math. I wouldn't say we're having fun here, but I am saying that we can at least speculate that with the rise in cost of construction, that this is what we would reasonably be looking at. So in 5 years, 2025, for the same amount that we would put in today, looking at $15.8 million. And so within 5 years, the cost of Plan B, and that's just for two plans, for two phases, by the way, would already be at $28.7 million, plus the interest that would come from that. And so let's dig a little deeper into that now. We can look at phase 2 then being $15.8 million. We can look at phase 3 as estimated at $19.5 million, phase 4, $24 million. And then we could keep adding on to that if we were to look at phase 5 and 6, although I think you're understanding the point here that we're making. Let's add them all together. That would be after just 4 phases. The estimate would be $72.2 million. So here's a comparison. In Plan A, $61.9 million over 20 years. Again, estimated that $325 per year tax impact for property valued at $125,000. No data yet on a $100,000 house for comparison, and I'll show you why that matters here in just a second. State aid is available. Plan B, Phase 1, $12.9 million over 5 years. This is the first of many phases. The tax impact would be estimated at $232 per year. This is only for property valued at $100,000. Yet, again, we don't have data on $125,000, so we can't compare apples to apples here yet. That will come. But also notice that there's no state aid available for that plan. So the conclusion, voting yes is the best option. It is going to cost us so much more in the long run if this is voted no. Folks, we don't want to keep shooting ourselves in the foot, and voting no is going to end up doing that. It's going to hurt us more in the long run. And so we want to strongly urge you to vote yes. If you are one that is planning on vote yes, talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, talk to your coworkers, and share the facts. Don't get wrapped up in the misinformation and the untruths, if that's even a word, that are out there. Stick to the facts. Vote yes, and encourage others to do so. Vote yes on May 12th. It's going to be at Mora City Hall from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Early voting begins March 27th at the Mora Schools District Office, just as it was last time. And so take advantage of that if you don't want to wait although there wasn't even really that big of a line issue. There wasn't a line issue at all in the November one. So if you want to vote early anyway, just to avoid going out on May 12th. That's fine. We just want you to vote yes. If you have any questions, certainly contact us. We will provide you with the facts. Also, you can find us on social media. We are on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and YouTube. YouTube right now, it's sort of thin and bare bones, but there's going to be a lot of cool stuff that's going to be coming out here in the next few weeks. And so look for that. You can contact us in those ways. And finally, you can also reach us at Vote Yes 332. There's continually more and more information that's coming on that site. Blog posts are coming to continue to keep us on the facts, and also so many resources. There are so many different tax programs that are labeled on there to help property owners, help elderly people, help veterans and current soldiers to have help with their taxes, so that this wouldn't be such an impact on them. Also, we have a podcast that's going to be launched here in a couple weeks, and I'm very, very excited about that coming out. We've had some stellar things working on through that, and so I want to encourage you to stay informed, stick to the facts. Have any questions? Please let us know. And again, we can't stress enough that we need to vote yes on May 12th. Every vote counts. Last time it was only about 60 some votes that we were behind. We can do this. It can happen. So go out on May 12th. Early voting starts March 27th. Go out, vote yes 332. Let us know if you have any questions. Have a great day.